revising and editing your technical writing. Now that we have covered most of the topics within the chapter 4, which is regarding the technical writing, you know what is the structures of a typical technical writing, starting from the introductions to the conclusions. You also know that how you're going to write it in proper English, what are the common problems in writing, and we have discussed about the do's and don'ts for the technical writing so that you can produce a good technical writing. And then we talk about the drafting and revising your technical writing. Now assume that you have completed your first draft of your technical writing. You have most of the content ready and the entire structures and the framework of your technical writing are more or less there. Now you are in the process of preparing your technical writing for submissions. With that, we're going to proceed with our discussions with the stages of revisions as presented in this slide, which you may adopt them as a guideline for you to ensure that you have covered all the aspects of the revisions before your official submissions. First, we are talking about revising. Revising your technical writing involves the review and revise of your content, of your overall organizations, and also for your paragraph structure. You're going to check through your content. Is it adequate? Is it properly organized? And you need to consider that it is properly discharged to the reader, helping the readers to build the understanding progressively from shallow to the deep, from general to specific, until the readers acquires the heads and tails of your research study. Most of the time we focus on the amount of information to be incorporated in the technical writing, but we overlook the importance of having those properly arranged in sequence and in the manner that most easily understandable by the readers. You need to take that into considerations also. Next, it will involve the editing. This one is related to the writing styles as well as the sentence length, structures, and linkage. Here you will look into how the informations and message be effectively delivered to the readers. Use simple terms, simple and short sentence. Ensure a good linkage between the sentences and paragraph so that your technical writings is readable to the readers. Next, we're looking into proofreadings. This is where you look into the grammatical errors, problems with the punctuations, any errors in spelling or typos, and make sure the sentences are properly constructed. Then we look into the formatting, which you need to ensure the technical writing is compliant to the department's formatting guidelines. If you are submitting to the journals paper, you will need to abide to the guidelines given by the respective journals. The formatting includes the line spacings, the alignments of the text, the numberings of the titles, tables, figures, formats of referencing, and so on so far. Lastly, you will look into the document integrity. This is where you construct the tables of content. You make sure the section number is in line with your table of content. Same goes to the page number in the text. It should be as per the tables of content page, the text reference and the figures numbers, as well as the references. In doing revisions to our technical writing, normally what we did here is we done everything together. This made our revisions to be beyond our manageable level, especially you are looking into different aspects at the same time. I would suggest that when you do the revisions, probably you can put them into different stages, focusing on one area at one time, so that you don't miss any part of it somewhere in the technical writing. You might wonder, if we use this as a guide in terms of the stages of revisions, it would be as if we are reviewing and revising our draft for at least 5 times. This is rather troublesome, which you may be reluctant to. However, if you look into the process and the tasks associated to that particular process, you know that the final 2 stages here is relatively easy. Technically, the difficult part it will be the first 3 stages. The amount of effort as implied by different stages of revisions is not equivalent. You cannot use apple-to-apple comparison, which towards the later stage of your revisions, the process will become faster, and you can accomplish these 2 stages easily without much thinking. Normally, we realize that when we have everything to be done together in one round of revisions, you will need to continuously come back and revisit your draft. There is no guarantee that how many times you're going to review your draft. And every time you review it, you realize that you have to do some revisions on certain things. And your numbers of revisions can easily exceed 5 times. At least this is my experience. Probably you can consider using a systematic way to do the revisions, which the first time of your revisions, it will be more towards the contents, overall structures, as well as the paragraph structure. You only do this until you finish your entire technical writing, and you leave the rest for the next round of revisions. Then with the focus of the things that you would like to do, the quality of revisions will increase. Next, you go for editing. This is where you're editing your writing styles, trying to rectify the sentence and take care of the readability of your technical writing. Only then you proceed with the proofreading, checking for the grammar, punctuations, spellings, and typo. You need first establish your content and then establish your writing style before you proceed with the checking for the grammar, punctuation, spellings, and typos. The reason being is you don't want to do the double handling job. You know that every time when you adjust the sentences or you make rearrangement in terms of the content, adding new sentences, there will be changes made and you will have to do the proofreading again. If you don't want to waste your time continuously proofread your technical writing, maybe you do it after you have confirmed the 2 aspects, which is the content and the sentences. Now your only focus is to find the errors within the sentences and rectify that. Once you have done this, the following 2 tasks will be easier. Following the guideline of the department, this should be quite fast as you get familiar with the formatting requirement. The rest is actually the repetitions of the requirements. Lastly, it will be the document integrity. You make sure everything is in line, traceable, and the number of pages is in line with the tables of content. Next, we look into the common editing symbols. This is something interesting to know, which I only aware this when I'm preparing for this module. I find some value of using these common editing symbols, especially these symbols have give you a wide coverage of different things and different meanings of editings, so that you don't confuse with whichever you write. as a comment to you or a comment to your students. Interesting part is these symbols make it clear and do not require a long sentence to express the meaning and the purpose of the editing. Only that there are quite a number of symbols here, which you might find yourself in the difficulty to memorize all those. I find this interesting. You may get these symbols and the descriptions as well as the example from the source here, which you can easily acquire from the internet, and you may learn it one by one progressively and then put it as your habit in editing your technical writing or in reviewing the technical writings of your students. This will save you a lot of time and save you a lot of work to clarify the meaning of the comments given to the students or yourself.